Hey, it's Nicole Kellerman-Worth, CEO of WildBeAlive.com, where we help women get on the same team as their bodies so they can feel and look their best. When a woman realizes how badass her body is, she feels alive and is no longer afraid to create the life she's always wanted. I know this to be true because it's happened to me and thousands of our clients. Welcome to the journey of getting on the same team as your body. Hello, sisters. Here we are, moving on to a new Wildly Alive pillar, a new topic, and I think it's a topic that will, it's going to push some edges a little bit. Let's just say that. This is a topic that comes up, of course, in the Wildly Alive Mastery program, and it's the topic where I probably get the most resistance and also the most denial. And so I'm just saying that to be honest and putting it out there is as we are starting to talk about this and you feel any sort of resistance, you're feeling any sort of discomfort, you're feeling any sort of denial, I just want to invite you to breathe and stay with me through the podcast this month because I think at face value, it's really easy for us to dismiss this aspect of our life and think that we don't need any help here and we're fine. No, it's fine. Or I'm too busy and I will just skip this month's podcast. I don't need to really look at this. But when a woman really dives into, we are going to be talking about sisterhood and female relationships. When a woman really opens herself up to this within the Wildly Alive container, deep transformation happens. And as you know, the center of Wildly Alive is your relationship with your body. Obviously here, same team podcast, and you may be wondering how our relationship with other females affect our relationship with ourselves and our bodies. But it actually is a huge culprit of self-destructive behaviors. And I speak from my own experience here. Growing up, like in high school, I had a really, really solid group of female friends. We had each other's backs for everything. I wasn't by any means like a part of the popular crowd or anything like that. We just had a tight-knit group of about 5 of us. And we came from very similar childhoods and we had each other's backs. And I think, people in high school would probably call us a more tougher, rougher around the edges crowd for sure. And we were each other's family. We were very, very tight-knit. And then as we evolved and grew out of high school, there was a lot of falling out. There was a lot of pain. There was betrayal. There was backstabbing. There was a lot of hurt. And I think we all can relate and admit that we all have been hurt by another woman really badly. And I convinced myself for a really long time that I did not need female relationships in my life. I had two women in my life, and I convinced myself that that was enough, that I didn't need any more, and I had moved from my hometown up to the mountains, and I had no direct friends in my community for 5 years, and I had 2 close friends who I would call on the phone. And I convinced myself that that was enough. And I didn't realize how lonely I really was. And that loneliness was manifesting itself in my life in very self-destructive behaviors, with food, with wine, with scrolling, with working, with doing, right, with never being able to relax, kind of a chaotic, overly masculine energy. And I just really convinced myself, for so long I just told myself it wasn't, I'm fine. I have 2 friends I could call on the phone. I'm fine. I don't need any friends here. I'm fine. I would have fully 100% told you that, like, I have no problem in that area whatsoever. But I think if I really sat with myself after all of the pain and betrayal that I had experienced from the falling out of my, my high school friends, and which was again, like, and I speak to this, actually, this is a really good opportunity to share with you. We're offering a free experience called Sisterhood Rising. It's going to be a 5-day free experience where we're really going to start talking about this. And I share a lot more about this experience in that program. So if you want to jump in and really at least explore this for yourself, there's not even a financial commitment at this time. Like, it is a free thing that you can jump into if you're willing to admit that you have space in your heart to welcome in some more women, some safe women, then we would love to have you. All you need to do is go to wildlyalive.com/sisterhoodrising, all one word, and that will direct you to your next steps to join us. We're going to start right at the beginning of February, the top of the month. Even if you're listening to this a little while later, the replays will be up for a little bit. So if you're at all feeling the niggle, then I would just really encourage you to check that out. And so I go more deeply into my history with female relationships and this falling out and kind of the lessons and the growth that happened because of it. And so anyway, how I operated from that point forward after feeling a lot of betrayal is I kind of convinced myself that it was easier for me just to keep people at arm's distance. I had always been a very independent person and very independent woman. And after that experience, it just clammed me up even more. I just built more walls around my heart. I crossed my arms and, was just like, I don't need you. I don't need anyone. I don't need anything or any of that. Like, I was just really quick to, like, push people away. And again, on the deeper level, I think how I convinced myself is I said, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth potentially getting hurt over. Like, I don't even want to go there. It's not worth it to me. And through a series of events, and the main thing is after having Wyatt, my son, and really, really struggling through the postpartum experience, when he was about 6 months, I was, maybe it was more like he was like 4 months. I was really floundering in motherhood, like, badly. And my two friends who were my good girlfriends who I could call on the phone, neither of them were mothers. And so I felt very, very alone, and I was so desperate at that point. I had to hit like a severe rock bottom of loneliness before I actually reached out to, I found a Facebook group, a community Facebook group. And I'm telling you, I was so raw and I was so real, and I just said, I am floundering. I had a baby 4 months ago. He will not sleep. I feel like I'm just barely keeping my head underwater. I am struggling over here, and I am looking for a mom friend. I need a mom friend. And that post, it was amazing and also overwhelming. There were so many women in my community who reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, me too, I feel you. Oh, like, I'm talking 30, 40, 50 women reaching out to me. And I don't live in that big of a town, I live in a mountain town. And so I was like kind of blown away by it. Like a positive overwhelm of like, wow, I'm really not alone here. And so anyway, what happened with that is I ended up meeting one of my soul sisters. And I don't know what I would do, what I would have been, I don't know what I would have done without her. She was such a pivotal part of me coming out of a very, very dark place with postpartum depression. I felt so seen and so supported by her, and our relationship truly, truly flourished. And from there, I share all about this, not necessarily in Sisterhood Rising. So within While the Alive Mastery, the class that we're going to be starting this month is called Soul Sister. So Sisterhood Rising is the free experience where you can really get a taste of this and of course get something for free, because there's always something available for you here, even if it's not in the budget or that's not reachable for you. In the Soul Sister program is the class that we're going to be starting in Mastery. And so if you've never experienced a class with us, you can jump in for an intro rate of $111. You can just go to whilethealive.com/111 and you can learn more about the Soul Sister class. But if anything, if you're here more towards the front end of February, I would highly suggest the Sisterhood Rising as well. But within Soul Sister, I talk about how this relationship of ours just evolved. And a few years later, I think it was probably about a year and a half later, we created this like women's circle throughout our journey together. And there was this moment where I felt truly fulfilled by sisterhood in a way that I could never describe to you prior to that. I felt so nourished. I felt so supported. I felt so safe. I felt so seen. I did not realize how incredibly lonely I was until that moment, until I really surrounded myself. I was surrounded consistently around evolved, wise, emotionally intelligent women who could hold space for me to rise and also could hold space for me to fall. And that was one of my deeper sisterhood wounds, is having a safe place to rise, because that is where a lot of pain stemmed from, is when I felt like I was rising, I felt like I was being tore down. And to now be in a space, 5-6 years later, where I really felt true sisterhood and true connection and safety to that level, it's hard for me to explain it to you in words. And, I'm sharing this with you to really try to state my case that this is worth you exploring, even if you have convinced yourself otherwise. Even if you've said you're too busy for friendship, or you have one friend and that's enough. One friend is not enough. I talk about this in Sisterhood Rising. It's not enough. You cannot expect one friend to fill all of the dynamics of true sisterhood. You need a community. We women are designed to be in community. And how I was unconsciously sabotaging myself because of this lack of sisterhood in my life that I was unaware of. And so that's really what we're exploring this month on the podcast. Of course, you can just binge the next 4 episodes because we release them all at the same time. We would love to have you in Sisterhood Rising. I ran it last year. It was such a good experience. It's 5 days of really, really exploring this for yourself. Even if you have no desire to jump into While the Alive Mastery, I would just highly encourage you to go over there and experience it. It's going to take place in the While the Alive Playground free Facebook group, because that's where most of the women are at. And I understand how scary this could be. Safety is such a big word that comes up through the theme of sisterhood. It's feeling safe. So I get it, okay? If you're feeling like this is scary, I don't want to put myself out there, I don't want to look at this pain. The thing that you have to know is that you're stronger than it and that you can handle it. And it's not as big and as scary as your mind is making it out to be. You just need to have the courage to look at it and say, I see you, and take the steps to heal it. And really looking at it is 50% of the battle. And then just having community and sisterhood to witness you and to be there for you, to help you see that not every experience with a woman is going to end like that. And there are millions of women out there looking for and asking for and praying for good-hearted women. We all, if you're looking for her, she's looking for you too. It's just a matter of you really opening yourself up to it and healing the sisterhood wound that is probably holding you back the most, which again, we go through that in the free experience of Sisterhood Rising. So I would highly, highly suggest that. So that's what we're diving into this month. And something that if you do have friendships, and maybe you're a little bit more of an extrovert, not like myself. I'm actually not very much of an extrovert. You may think that, but I'm actually a very introverted person. It's not easy for me to make friends. It's not. I do not have that natural, charismatic way of meeting people. I actually am friends with a lot of extroverted women who make friends very easily, and they have actually taught me, not like they sit down and like with a pen and paper and teach me, but me witnessing them finding female friendships really helped me figure out how to find female friendships as well. And this is something we go deeper into in the Soul Sister class. Is, you know, I'll be on a call, I'll be like on the phone with one of my friends, and she'll be like, you know, at the coffee store or whatever, at the coffee shop, and all of a sudden she's like starting to have conversation with somebody else, and she's like, hey, you know, let me call you back. And I'm like, oh, okay. She calls me back and she's like, oh, I was just sitting next to this really cool chick, and we're gonna hang out next week, and you know, we both have read this book that I was reading, and blah blah blah. And I was like, wow, you just like made a friend. Like, it's so hard for me to make a friend when I moved up to the mountains. I'm just more of a shy person. I don't know if it's like shy or it's like this Miss Independent that I had, or I just don't give a good first impression. I don't know, I'm not sure, but like there have been so many times, and my other friend who like we will go somewhere together, and she could make a friend literally anywhere, and I was just like so like shocked and like I admired that part of her where I was like, gosh, you know, like, wow, you can make a friend anywhere. Like, she just makes friends anywhere. And like them modeling that to me gave me kind of this process that I now teach on how to start building friendship, and how I took what they were doing that did not come natural to me, and I started like putting it into action, putting myself out there and feeling the belly butterflies and whoo, you know, like just trying this stuff, because you do have to kind of push that in. It's not comfortable for me to just make, it's not easy for me to make friends. And so I'm sharing this with you because if you can relate to this, there still is a place for you here. It's not like I make friends super duper duper easy. That's not the case at all. And so if you're more like that, or maybe you do have friends, but if you're really honest with yourself, your friendship is a little superficial. Maybe you connect with your friends, and this is a common problem within a female-to-female relationships, is you connect over bashing your body or bashing your partner, right? It's superficial, it's really negative, it's gossipy. There's not a lot of depth there. And so maybe you're even desiring either taking these friendships and taking them to the next level, or reevaluating some of your friendships and really asking yourself, does this friendship have the capacity to evolve into what I'm truly desiring? And if it doesn't, what's the conversation I need to have? Because this often happens in romantic relationships where a woman is in a relationship with somebody that is not satisfying them. It's not really doing much for them. They can't see a lot of growth. There's not a lot of evolution. There's not a lot of satisfaction. But they're unwilling to let that person go to make space for the other person to come in. This can also happen with female relationships where we just kind of keep somebody in our life because, well, they're a childhood friend or we've been friends forever and, I don't want to have that conversation, or how do I even go about letting go of this friendship? All of those types of things we definitely cover in Soul Sister, but this is just important for you to start exploring here and being honest with yourself, and also recognizing that, yes, this is a hard conversation. But Wildly Alive is not here to have superficial conversations, and you know that. We're here to help you grow and evolve as a woman, and a huge piece of that is the Wildly Alive Sisterhood, which is why on this podcast we feature Wildly Alive Sisters, we feature Wildly Alive mentors, we feature Wildly Alive experts, all other women. I feel like the fact that I'm teaching this says so much, because I was the Miss Independent. I don't need you. I don't need another person in my life. I can do it all on my own. Screw you. If you try to help me, it means that you're telling me that I'm incapable. Like, this was my MO. I had so many walls around my heart, and like the fact that I'm now teaching this just says so much about me being able to lead this conversation. I have been preparing unconsciously to lead this conversation for the last 8 years. Like, I have done so much work. Not because I was like, one day I'm going to create a program or something, around sisterhood. No, I didn't do that. It was this desire. It was this honesty that I had with myself, that if I just put my guard down for a minute, I could admit to myself that I was lonely. I could admit to myself that I wanted more out of my current friendships. And that's exactly what happened as I evolved in this work, is my current friendships also went to a deeper level, and also friendships that were incapable of moving to that next level came to closure in a positive way. So again, this is a big topic, and it's really easy to turn a blind eye and say it's fine. I just really want to invite you to stay open. I would absolutely love for you to jump into the Sisterhood Rising Free experience, if anything. And if you're, really enjoying it, you can absolutely jump into Wildly Alive Mastery and get this class for the 30 days after you sign up, and really, really explore this for yourself. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you. I just know how sensitive this topic is, and I know how much we want to avoid it. And there's just not a lot out there. There is not a lot out there teaching this stuff. And at the core of it, when there is a hole in your heart, we as women are designed to be in sisterhood and community, as I said. And as much as we want to believe that we're independent women and we don't need that, the truth is that we do. We need it to really thrive. And Wildly Alive is about a thriving body, a thriving plant, right? A thriving life. And so that means we have to look at things that we don't always think we need to look at. So I feel like I've really made my case here. If anything, your awakening activity for this podcast is to just be open over this next month as we are talking more about this on, if you're on our email list, if you're following us on social media, if you're going to jump into Sisterhood Rising or even Soul Sister, is to just stay open and recognize that there's going to be some resistance here. And the resistance is showing itself for you to heal and move through it. So you can be somebody who is really the woman who you know you are at your core. right? And is living as a wildly alive woman in her wildly alive body, in her wildly alive life, and really feels lit up by her day-to-day life, right? Like ultimately that is what this is about. So I'm so happy to have you here. All you have to do for your awakening activity is just stay open as you continue to listen to these podcasts and explore this topic with us. It's going to be amazing and transformative if you just stay with us. All right? So I will see you over on the next few episodes, maybe in Sisterhood Rising, maybe even in Soul Sister. I'm so thrilled and happy to have you here. Thank you for listening throughout this whole entire podcast. It really does mean a lot. And if you know a woman who may be interested in deepening her relationships with other women, forward this on over to her, because it's in community that we really rise and grow. So, all right, I will see you. When in doubt, ask your body. Bye. All right, so if you would like to continue listening to this month's topic around Soul Sister and sisterhood, you can do that over on the podcast. So go to sameteampodcast.com and you will move on to our next episode where you will meet wildly alive sister Shweta. And Shweta realized through the Soul Sister class that she had a really unhealthy habit with her current female relationships. And I have a feeling that you may resonate with this. I absolutely resonated with this. And when she started to shift this behavior, she started to welcome in some really incredible women into her life. So go to sameteampodcast.com. You can listen to episode 6 where you will meet Shweta. Again, we have the Sisterhood Rising free experience going on. You could go to wildlyalive.com/sisterhoodrising, all one word, to join us. It's going to be awesome, and there's no financial commitment, so might as well come in and start exploring this for yourself.